Yo, pull up a chair, let the real talk begin. Faith on the table where the brothers lock in. Life gets heavy, but we stand our ground. Truth in the room when the circle comes round. No mask, no front, just real men here. Talking about faith through the doubt and the fear. From the grind of the week to the lessons we share. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair. Men's round table series, step inside. Real men, real faith, where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair.
Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast Spotlight. I'm your host, Mr. U. If you're watching us for the very first time, wherever you are and however you're seeing this, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, you can find all of our shows on our brand across all podcast listening platforms and all social media platforms as well. Thanks again for being a part of the conversation. If you are a fan of this show, then you already know that our Men's Roundtable Series podcast every Thursday night, 7 p.m. is where we have a gang of men from around the country, even around the world, talking about issues that are germane to men. This Spotlight is a one-on-one interview style version of that same podcast. So thanks again for joining the conversation. We have a fantastic guest in studio with us today. I'm really excited about it. Darcie is here with us. He is a workshop presenter. He's also a podcast host, blog and article writer, and he authored the book, Choose a Better Path, Overcoming the Impact of Your Parents' Divorce. He's also a professional speaker. Kent, how are you today? Good to have you in the house.
I am doing great, and it's great to be here.
Same here, man. Thank you. Also, you're also a licensed professional counselor in Southeast Michigan. I'm hoping that you're a Go Blue fan, not a Go Green. I'm just hoping. I don't know. I'm hoping.
Actually, I'm not originally from Michigan. So
Okay.
I walk the fence.
Wow, yeah. It's all good. But good to have you here, man. I want to jump right into our conversation for today.
Yeah.
So I know that you work with adults of divorced parents since what? It's been probably about 22 years for you, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what would you say, Ken, is the most common emotional wound that men carry from divorces?
One of the basic issues that impacts virtually all adults who divorce parents is anger. And for men, it's particularly an issue. But we want to drill down a little bit. I mean, we have anger because there's blame issues. We usually blame somebody. There's loss. When the divorce happens, we can lose whole sides of the family. Our financial thing can go down. Athletic issues can become an issue because now we can't make half of the practices because maybe we're not in the area half the time. And that can get very complicated. So there's a lot of losses, and that can create anger. There's also what I call the loyalty challenge, which is basically, who do you love more, me or dad, me or mom? And that's very challenging for young men. But the anger thing is also rooted in some of the other issues that affect adults with divorced parents. Tom and Beverly Rogers they call it the GIFT acronym for anger. It's GIFT, G-I-F-T. And GIFT, G is guilt. Do we feel guilty? If we're having an anger response or upset, are we feeling guilty? I is inadequacy or inferiority, which is a huge, huge issue for guys. We hate feeling inadequate. We hate feeling inferior. And that can trigger anger. The F is fear. Is there something that we're afraid of? Is there some concern? And then T is trauma or triggers. And basically, am I responding or reacting to a situation now when in reality, I'm reacting to something that happened in my past? So all of those can trigger anger. And for men, anger is just a huge issue.
Absolutely, definitely. You wrote Choose a Better Path, and I'm pretty sure you have multiple reasons for doing so. For the man that's listening today who kind of recognizes those patterns in himself, what does it mean? Because I know that a lot of men that we deal with on our roundtable and through men's coaching that I'm involved with and other organizations that I'm a part of, I know that it's challenging for men to see a quote unquote better life than what they have. They in such a rhythm where it's like, this is what it is. I work 16 hours a day. I give my family the leftovers. It's the best I can do based on my circumstance and my mindset and where I believe I'm supposed to be in life. What does choosing a better path actually look like when it comes to fatherhood, marriage, and even adulting for men?
Well, through my lens, we're dealing with basically adults with divorced parents. And that can also include a lot of people that are listening today. Probably their parents maybe were never married. Maybe the father disappeared early on, but the impact can be the same. And when we're trying to live that better life, the first thing we have to do is identify what is messing with our thought process that's interfering with that better life. If we're at the workplace, do we have a fear of conflict? If we're in a relationship, we're married, we have a girlfriend, or do we have this fear of abandonment? That and all that can affect who we are. And when fear is driving us, it impedes our ability to see clearly enough to move toward that better path.
Makes sense. You mentioned something called gray divorce. I'm curious about what a gray divorce is. What is that?
Well, basically, there's two areas of divorce. You have some of our audience. My parents divorced when I was 13,
Oh,
so
okay.
I would be an adult child of divorce, high school or less. Their parents divorced when we were kids. Well, the latest double-digit growth right now in divorce is what they call gray divorce, which is when parents wait until the kids are grown, get divorced. I've had situations after 30 years, after 40 years, 52 years that they're getting divorced. And you would think by then they put up with it long enough that they would have dealt with it. But the reality of it is we've got 40% of all the divorces right now are gray divorce. They are people
Mm,
that basically, and there's no malice. Again, when I talk about my ministry, I like to make sure people understand if you're divorced, your family's divorced, friends are divorced, whatever. We're not here bashing divorced people. That's
right.
not what it is at all. The issue is that the divorce does have an impact, despite my vehement denials. I learned that my parents' divorce was impacting me, and what we want to know is what is the impact, and how do we overcome that impact? And with gray divorce, when our parents wait until we're 35 years of after 35 years of marriage, it basically rocks our entire world because everything we thought was real now isn't real anymore. And that's at best. At worst, and again, there's no malice. It's just that parents are going through a very, very difficult time. But at worst, they'll say, well, we only stayed together because of you.
Mm,
And what that does is it
that doesn't
just
land
basically
well.
takes their issues and puts it onto you. So, you have that whole now wait, if they couldn't make it after all that time, what about us when we're struggling and we're angry and we're yelling and whatever? Are we gonna make it? And it puts doubt into the equation, and then men feel inadequate, and guess what? Inadequacy feeds anger, and then anger crushes her heart, and then you end up in this destructive cycle, and it can be problematic.
Definitely challenges across the board on that.
Yeah,
You mentioned how you're the founder of the ministry Adult with Divorced Parents.
yeah.
What's would you say to date, without any kind of a unique identifiers or names, of course, what was the biggest challenge that you experienced in leading a ministry like this?
I run into a lot of people like me. My parents divorced when I was 13, and, if you had said, "Ken, is it impacting you?" I would have said, "No, I'm good. Holidays are a hassle, and, my dad remarried a couple of times, and, you have all that sort of thing, but I'm good, I'm good." Well, the reality of it is what I learned was that, first of all, there's millions of me out there, and second of all, that despite my vehement denials, my parents' divorce was impacting me. So the first key is to absolutely recognize the fact that we can say it's not a big deal, but it is. I like to say it reprograms our brain. We don't trust people. We have
Mm,
fear. We have anger. We grieve. We get triggered. A lot of us hate Christmas, hate Thanksgiving because it's a hassle. And from a father perspective, one of the challenges is father hunger. And
wow.
father
Okay.
hunger is basically missing the dad. But more importantly, of as men, we are asking the question, it is in us. Do we have what it takes to measure up to be a man? And when the dad leaves or the dad wasn't there, we don't have a template and we're kind of kind of going through our way. So for me, I know a lot of people didn't have a great relationship with their dad. I love my dad. He was amazing. He was Superman incarnate, could jump tall buildings, catch bullets in his teeth. I mean, he was awesome. And then I went from seeing him all the time to seeing him 2 or 3 times a year.
Mm,
And there was this huge hole, and that created feelings of inadequacy, fears of abandonment, fears of conflict, anger. I had huge anger issues. And I
wow.
dragged all that into my adulthood. And that's what caused me. So I run into people like me that it's not a big deal. I'm good. Particularly guys. We're good, we're tough, and the reality of it is our programming is off kilter. We're believing lies instead of truth, and it is impacting what we do, how we respond, and how we can lead to that better path.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on this show about the father wound and how it goes unrecognized so often,
Mhm.
and men, generally speaking, hide behind the success journey.
Yeah.
They stay late at the office. They go on the road for
Mhm.
business, and
Yeah.
they just avoid the tough stuff at home. So I totally can relate to this. My situation was a little bit different. I wasn't a product of divorce. It was kind of a never was kind of relationship.
Mhm.
And now I have 3 adult daughters, got
Oh.
six grandchildren, and
Oh,
3 great grand, soon to be a third great grandchild.
awesome.
So, for yourself, were you able to? What was the click that you made to figure out how to raise children when you came from a product of such of a divide
Right.
in
Yeah.
regard to parents?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was, and a lot of it had to do with the ministry. I mean, the ministry basically came about because I was at a marriage retreat, and the Lord said, "Ken, if you don't get your act together, you're on the same emotional path as your dad." And at that point, he was an adult child of divorce, an adult child of divorce, an adult child of divorce, which is very common, and was heading towards had divorced twice, and was heading towards his third marriage. And I love my wife. I
Okay.
didn't want that.
Yeah.
And what I was basically, I love to research, I love to explore things, and I learned that my programming was off.
Mm.
And despite the fact that I was blaming everybody and everything for my anger and whatever, it was internal. I was feeling horribly inadequate, and I was feeling, and the fear of abandonment is off the charts because we don't know how to do things, and we're kinda learning off the streets, if you will, and we don't have a template, and we're getting our model of, "Am I really a man?" From social media and from, everything else and all that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
what happened from what where I turned the corner was when I said, "You know what, Kent? It is impacting me, and I really need," and I loved my wife enough to figure out what the deal was and take steps to deal with it, and the first step is identifying what the issues even are: fear, mistrust, and the things that we've talked about, and that's what helped, and then continually getting resources to help me. How can I be a better dad? I go back a few years, and, Promise Keepers was big,
Oh
back
wow,
when I
yeah.
was young.
I remember.
And basically, I learned how to be a Christian man, how to be a Christian dad, how to be a Christian, husband, how to be a Christian employee, how to be Christian, 'cause I'm faith-based, and I had no template for that. I mean, my dad was a great guy, loved him, but when you're adult child divorce, you have your own issues, and he hadn't dealt with any of them. So my template was really, really cracked, but that helped me to move forward, but really, it was that humbleness to go, "You know what? I'm not fine, and I need to do something about it," and that's what changed things.
Yeah. That time, I was with Promise Keepers for a while. That time was rough for me.
Mm,
Nobody knew it. They probably heard it for the very first time right here on the air live. That was a rough time for me. I'm like, Promise Keepers. All right. So I'm understanding what this organization is about. What does it
mhm,
actually mean? And now I'm fighting with demons from the past, if you will,
mhm.
from, regarding somebody who did not keep their promise.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
do you not become that? How you not continue to cycle in the patterns? One of the things that I think was a challenge, and I want to hear your thoughts on that,
yeah,
is your view of commitment. Because I feel like divorce, especially with an adult son
mhm.
or even a young son, it has to impact your view of what commitment looks like.
Oh, absolutely.
You can decide when you get out of a thing or not
Mhm.
because you don't feel like doing it anymore.
Right.
What's your view on commitment? Share that real briefly with us, real quick.
Basically, commitment is doing the tough thing when you don't feel like it. The old cliche, "Love is a verb." I loved my wife, and I had to press through. I mean, there's days when I wanna just, it was so hard, but I had to look internal. We as men, we tend to look outward, and we have to look inward. We are in control. We are making choices, and we can make different choices, and that commitment comes from, "No, I am not gonna get divorced. I'm gonna learn how to love her better. I'm gonna learn how to be a better dad, and I'm going to do it in spite of the obstacles," and that is what commitment for me really is.
I love this. I love this. All right. Then we got time for a couple more questions, and I'm happy to speak to our audience and let them know
Yeah.
they can find you and share any inspiration you may have on your heart today. Uh, in the work that you're doing, I know that a lot of times as fathers, we pass on things that it's unintended,
Mhm.
might even be considered indirect. We pass on something
Yeah.
out of even saying a word. How do you feel like this shows up in adult sons? How do you feel like it shows up in these men that are adults now, have their own kids and even grandkids, and they haven't even diagnosed what's going on? How have you been? I'm sure you've been dealing with it, but have you been
Yeah.
addressing that?
Well, again, the first key is to hear a program like this, and go, "Oh, wait a minute. I'm acting just like my dad, or I'm acting because he didn't do this, or I'm whatever, and I don't have to." And
Yeah.
that's, I said my dad was, child divorce, adult child divorce, adult child divorce, and praise God, he broke the cycle with me. But it comes from being aware that there is information out there, and the likelihood of us acting like our parents, even though we said I would never say that when I'm a parent, we tend to do it anyway. So we want to be
Every
aware
time.
of what's our target.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's our target? What do we want? And get the tools to move us toward that goal because it is possible. No matter how crazy the situation is you're in right now, we can change. It's a matter of choice. It's not a coincidence that you're hearing this program today and the programs that are in this series. You were brought to this program. I'm faith-based, I would say by God, to hear this information. And I encourage you, don't be like me. Don't be in denial. Go, you
Mm,
know what? That's me. That's me. And I'm going to get resources to change so I can be that better dad for my son that maybe my dad wasn't.
I love it. I got your website up on the screen for you guys that are listening to us but not watching us yet. And you plan to catch the replay. It's Hope, the number 4, ADP, Alpha Telfa Peter.com. Hope, number 4, ADP.com. That's how you can reach Kent, find out about the work that he's doing. If you perhaps reach out with questions regarding divorce and how that impacts adult children, he's able to help you out with that for sure. Kent, normally I don't ask the guests to speak to a specific thing. I have them speak on their hearts, but I kind of want you to share something
Sure.
as we close the broadcast out. Speak to the men who are repeating the pattern that are watching this show. The same thing you said. They said, I'm never going to be like them. I got so many friends that are watching that I know have a similar story.
Mhm.
I never be like my dad because he was abusive, he was alcoholic, he was this.
Mhm.
And they found themselves falling into it. Speak to those men who are repeating those patterns, give them some encouragement on what they can do to break the cycle like you did. And then we'll close the broadcast out. Go ahead, Ken.
You know, you're not alone. Sometimes when we're going through this, you think, I'm the only one going through this. I'm the only one struggling with this. You're not. There's lots of people that are replicating what we said we never would. I mean,
Yeah.
I had years that I wish I could get back because of anger issues and whatever. But this is a new day. You don't have to. First, we want to learn what are the issues. I mean, my website supplies tons of resources for adults with divorced parents, those maybe parents never lived together or living together, whatever. Start today. Learn what the issues are and get help. It is not unmanly to have somebody come alongside you and help you to overcome some of these issues because they are overcomable. There is always, always hope for a better tomorrow. And that's not a cliche. That's a reality.
Thank you, sir. Hope, number 4, ADP.com. He's the founder of the Adults with Divorced Parents Ministry, speaker, podcast host, writer, and author of the book, Choose a Better Path, Overcoming the Impact of Your Parents' Divorce. Kent Darcie, thanks again for making us part of your day and being a part of this conversation, sir. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. So this is the Men's Interview Spotlight. I'm your host, Mr. U. That's Ken Darcie. Have a great day. Thanks for pulling up a chair.
Men's Roundtable Series, step inside. Real men, real faith, where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the Men's Roundtable, pull up a chair.